I'm pretty sure pizza is my #1 favorite food. Hello, my name is Leanne Fox, and I'm going to share with you how I make my pizza crust and pizza. So to begin with, I use cauliflower, shredded cauliflower, and I simply put the shredded cauliflower into my frying pan and I dry fry it, meaning I don't use any oil or any water, and put it on a medium to low heat for 10 to 15 minutes. Simply stirring it around so it doesn't burn. So once that's dried out, I weigh out, because I'm going to be making 2 servings, I weigh out 14 ounces for 2 pizza crusts. Okay, so to begin with, here's my shredded cauliflower. I'm simply adding 1 large egg as a binder and part of my protein. Just going to mix that in. And then for myself, just for some extra binding, I have something called nutritional yeast. It does the double duty again. It adds nutrition as well as a bit of a binder. So I'm just going to add 2 tablespoons of that because I'm doing 2 servings. All right. And then in this case, I just happen to have some psyllium husk. It's just something new I'm introducing to my diet because it's high in fiber and again has some health benefits. So I'm using 2 tablespoons of that. Now, if you don't have either of these, definitely use fresh ground flaxseed. That also has the nutritional value, the omega-3s, as well as fiber, and acts as a binder in your doughs, your fake doughs, right? So one other thing is a friend of mine, she looked up some pizza crusts and she found one that added chia seeds. And I was like, why not? Because once again, it acts as a binder and you get the extra protein and nutritional benefits from chia seeds. So I just added 2 teaspoons there. And the last thing I'm going to add is I have an organic garlic and herb spice that I like to use. And you can add anything you like. And again, this is just to mask the flavor of the cauliflower a little. All right, gonna add that. And then actually one last thing is I like to add just a pinch of grated mozza cheese. It seems to just bind it and make it taste just that little bit nicer. So that is all I add. Give it a good stir, make a nice dough. And I've already pre-lined my baking pan with parchment paper. You gotta love parchment paper. You don't have to use oil. It doesn't stick to the pan. It really serves a great purpose. I quite am impressed with the whole parchment paper idea. Okay, so because I'm making 2, literally, I'm just going to be making this dough in a ball, and then I'm going to cut it in half because I'm not going to measure it out. It's just that takes more time than needed, right? So I'm going to get 1 ball there. So I've preset my oven to 400 and it's going to bake for a half an hour. And that just makes the crust pretty much perfect for me anyway. And I find that this crust actually holds together pretty decently. This one actually, in all honesty, is a little drier than other ones have come out, so did I measure something wrong? I'm not sure. I don't think so. All right. So I like to make it nice and round like any pizza. I don't know, what is it about having a round pizza? I'm not sure. I just personally like it. Now when I'm pressing it down, I like to make sure the edges are about the same thickness as the center, mostly so it doesn't burn or cook misevenly. So, depends how picky you are as a person. If you don't mind a little bit of crunch on the edge, then yeah, it could go down. Now I wouldn't roll this because the rolling is going to make it, I don't know, it's gonna stick to a roller in my opinion. And for me, I don't want to personally add any extra oil. And the reason for that is if I really want to, and later I can add you know, some dressing, ranch dressing or something as a bit of a dip, if I want. It's not necessary for sure. I mean, pizza's pizza. I don't need anything extra with it myself. All right. So the secondary thing I do just while I'm pressing this second one down is I make my own pizza sauce. So that pizza sauce is the easiest thing in the world. Literally open a can, ideally of organic tomato sauce. And then once you make the tomatoes or have the tomato sauce in a jar, just add some favorite seasonings. Ideally, again, it's usually basil, thyme, oregano, those kind of seasonings. Add a little maybe garlic, onion to it. And then it just keeps in the fridge. And you can, anytime you're gonna make a pizza, you can add it. I've even added it to some other sauces I've made. It's just nice to have made up in the fridge. So it's really, really easy to make. You don't need to go buy some high sugar pizza sauces in the store at all. This is literally sugar-free. You know that I'm all about sugar-free and flour-free. That is my motto. Been doing that since September 2015, and it has really been an amazing journey. I haven't had a flare-up since that time. I had 3 terrible face flare-ups from psoriasis, and since I got rid of sugar and flour in my diet back then, I haven't had anything come back, which is just amazing to me. Again, we can heal our bodies eating the right food. It's wonderful that we can take responsibility for how we eat and change, you know, our body composition. It's, you know, like what's going on in our body. I basically reversed psoriasis, and in the meantime, lost 160 pounds. I don't remember being down at this weight even as a teenager, because I fought weight all my life. Back when I was a teenager, I did do a lot of running and things to keep my weight off. But for the most part, yeah, I spent my life just struggling and fighting overweight. All right, so these are done. Just want to show you what it looks like. Nice and close. So that's kind of the thickness of it. I'm gonna go with maybe a 1/4 inch, maybe a 1/2 inch. And that's that. So I'm just gonna pop that in the oven. It's already been preheated to 400 degrees. Set the timer for 30 minutes. All right, those are ready to go, and once those are baked, in 30 minutes we'll come back and we'll talk about the sauce and the toppings. Thank you. So I've removed my pizza crust from the oven, and I'm just gonna show you what it looks like, the integrity of the pizza crust. It's held together. So what I'm going to be doing next is applying the sauce. So I just want to bring to your attention first, if you looked at my board or got the ingredients from my board and the weights, I had to change the tomato sauce. I had written 1 tablespoon of tomato sauce. It's supposed to be 1 ounce. So I've changed that on the board. So that's what I'm going to start with. I actually just have a hot pad here because I'm putting my rack, my cooling rack, right directly on my scale. So I'm just going to be measuring, I'm going to be measuring my tomato sauce. This is the stuff I talked about making. Very easy. Literally, you don't need to go buy it, but if you do need to, please look for no sugar added. All right, so I've got this set to 0, so I'm literally adding just 1 ounce of tomato sauce. That's a 1/2 ounce. There we go. Just gonna spread that around, and it works out to be just about perfect for at least what I like. I'll just show you what this looks like. So that's the sauce. Okay, so I'm going to be making 2 pizzas because I made 2 crusts, because I always make 2 crusts when I make the pizzas. And mine is ham and pineapple. All right, so I've got 4 ounces of pineapple that I'm gonna be spreading on here. So yeah, that's a fair bit of pineapple for this 1 serving pizza, but I'm okay with that because I kind of like pineapple. So these are lunch pizzas, and what that means is at lunch we can have our fruit, where dinner time, I don't do fruit at dinner time, so of course you can do whatever you like. So I've weighed out my 4 ounces of fruit in this case because my vegetable is actually in the cauliflower crust itself, which was the 7 ounces. All right, so what I did here, this is my protein portion. So if you remember, we put an egg and a little pinch of cheese in the crust. So this is the rest of it. So what I have here is 1 ounce of shredded mozzarella and 1 ounce of ham. It doesn't sound like much. Like when I think of 1 ounce of meat, I'm like, what's the point? But in all honesty, when you eat this whole pizza, which is a single serving pizza, and yes, you eat the whole thing for either lunch or dinner. So, all right, so I've got my ham, I've got my pineapple, and now I'm gonna top with my 1 ounce of shredded mozzarella. So I've left my oven at 400 degrees because I'm gonna be popping these in for about another 10 to 15 minutes because I want them to be just melted enough, and I like a little bit of that crusty top, not too much, or at least well melted in, right? I like the cheese to be well melted. I'm just gonna show you what this looks like. I'm gonna hold it without the tray. So there is my ham and pineapple pizza. I'm gonna put it right on my pan again, which will go in the oven when I do the second one. So my second pizza is going to be like a pepperoni vegetable pizza. Again, this is the crust. This is crust number 2, just showing you again the integrity of the dough. It all holds together. Okay, I'm putting this on my scale again. I'm going to weigh out my 1 ounce of tomato sauce. Well, that one was quite a bit more, so there we go. This particular crust turned out a little nicer. I like it a little bit more browned. Maybe because I just like a bit of crunch. I don't know. All right, so that's pizza number 2. And so in my vegetable pepperoni one, I happen to have some amazing, yeah, we carry this in our store actually. It's chemical-free nitrates in this pepperoni. So it's a hot pepperoni. And then I have 1 ounce of pepperoni and 1 ounce of shredded mozzarella cheese. And here I'm just gonna be adding a few tomatoes, peppers, and some olives. That just happens to be what I have in my house right now. You know, I love mushrooms. Typically I have mushrooms in the house, and that I would totally be adding. But for today, I don't. It's our day off from our business. So for me, I'm just, and because we kind of live in a rural area, I wasn't gonna run to town for just some mushrooms. And canned mushrooms, you could use canned mushrooms for sure. That's just not my favorite. So then I was like, oh, I'll just stick with a few diced tomatoes and the peppers and some olives, because I enjoy all of those. And well, I was gonna say all those vegetables, but we know olives aren't vegetables. But I do weigh the olives as part of my total weight. So that was 4 ounces in total. Now I'm just gonna add my pepperoni. And again, you know, it doesn't sound like much meat when you think of 1 ounce of meat. When I told my husband, he's like, it's not even worth it. It is. I'll show you here. It actually fills up. In all honesty, I bet you they don't, for all the commercial pizzas, like your Delicios and such, I bet you they use probably 1 ounce for those whole pizzas. I'm just gonna show you before I add the cheese. Like literally, it fills up the pizza, see? And with all those vegetables on it, it actually is quite full. And again, for a whole meal, I'm eating this whole pizza. They're very filling and satiating. I make it to the next meal, no problem, after I eat one of these. Okay. And come on, it's pizza. I love pizza. Even with this different crust, it makes no difference to me. I can still cut it like a regular, regular dough into little wedges and eat it like a regular pizza. So I really don't feel like I'm missing out when I'm eating this. It's a great alternative. I'm just gonna add this over to my pan and pop those in the oven. Actually, what I'll do is I'll come back and show you the finished product before I eat it. So the pizzas are out of the oven. I simply popped them in there for another 15 minutes just to melt everything together and cook some of the vegetables. And I ended up with a Hawaiian pizza, ham and pineapple. Look how amazing that looks. That's going to be my lunch. And for lunch, I will eat the whole pizza. So if I decide to have my other pizza for dinner tonight, I'll just show you that. That was my pepperoni vegetable pizza. That one there, because at dinner time, I would still allow 2 more ounces of vegetables. So that might be in the way of some carrot sticks or some pre-steamed broccoli. And that will make up my whole dinner meal. And that's it, guys. That's the whole deal. Thank you so much for listening. These are great pizzas. You will not feel like you're missing out, I promise. Take care. Thanks again for listening.